Hello, welcome back to my channel. In a recent video, I talked all about my high tunnel and why I love it. And I asked if people were interested to know specifically Nifty Hoops high tunnel. And a lot of you responded that yes, you want to know why I chose a Nifty Hoops high tunnel. So today we are going to break down why I have a Nifty Hoops high tunnel and what I like about it. So just like really, candidly, this is not sponsored. Nifty Hoops doesn't know I'm doing this video. This is just my honest opinion about what has worked for me and why I chose this tunnel. I also, did not detailed look into every single tunnel builder in the United States. So I can't say that I've looked into every single one and this is the best, but from my research, this is what I chose and I'm really happy with it. And I'm going to tell you about why in this video. My name is Ruth Ann, and I'm from Abundant Blooms Flower Farm in Dorr, Michigan. If you cannot see, it's very cold and there's a lot of snow piled up around this hoop house. And I grow in zone supposedly 6A, but supposed to be -12 tomorrow. So we were 5B, so that is definitely in the 5B category. Doesn't usually get that cold here. So we're bracing for Arctic weather, and all these plants inside my hoop house are also bracing for that Arctic weather. So I grow on about an acre here in West Michigan, and I sell primarily to florists. And this hoop house is a very strategic, integral part of my sales plan. I also do education for flower farmers through my download free tips for selling flowers to florists, which is free, and also through my course, Selling Flowers to Florists. And that is what I do. I sell flowers to florists, and that's pretty much all I do. And I love it. Why did I choose a Nifty Hoops high tunnel? Well, it's built for snow load. I'm going to flip you around and show you how high the snow is on the back wall of this tunnel. You see how high that snow is? That is like 4 feet tall. And that is not shedding off the roof. That is a drift. This here is shed off the roof. Okay, so it is built for snow load. We get a lot of snow in Michigan. If you didn't know, fun fact, we get about 70, low 70s average snowfall per year, 72, 74 inches of snow, which I've said this before, but fun fact, I used to live in Anchorage, Alaska when I was stationed there when I was in the Air Force, and Anchorage, Alaska has about the same average snowfall. It's like 2 inches more than West Michigan. And we get a lot of lake effect snow, so we get storm systems, and then we just get lake effect snow every day, all winter. So we get a lot of snow. So I didn't want a tunnel that I was going to have to like pound or pull snow off the roof. That just sounded insane. I didn't want to be up all night with that. So this was really huge for me. This is a unique feature, I think, to a Nifty Hoops tunnel. As far as I know, I don't know of any other tunnel company that does this for a high tunnel. So this has 2 layers of plastic on the roof. And then between those 2 layers, there is a 12-volt fan, and that fan blows an air bubble between the 2 layers of plastic. What that does is it does a lot of things, but it does give it a little bit more insulation. But what it does is it doesn't let the snow pile up and sag down on those pilings, which is what often catches the snow on your tunnel. And if you have too much load on your tunnel, you're going to destroy your frame, which is really bad. It can collapse a whole tunnel. Snow load can collapse a whole tunnel. And so what sometimes people do is like cut the plastic to save the tunnel, and typically will lose their inside crops if that happens. You don't want that to happen. Just for reference, this is a 30 by 72 foot tunnel. So when you think about the square footage of the roof of this, that's a lot of snow load. That's a lot of feet of snow pretty fast. That adds up pretty quickly. I never have to knock snow off the roof. Ever. In fact, they say don't because you'll probably cause more damage. So I never knock snow off this roof. In fact, we are in the middle of getting a pretty massive storm. Like we've gotten snow every day for at least the last 7 days, and snow is predicted every single day in the 10-day forecast, including some storms. And so, we're like very quickly piling up inches and inches and inches of snow. And so we get a lot of snow. And this actually really works in real life. Like I actually never ever bring snow off the roof. It's been heavy snow, it's been light snow. It always just sheds off the roof. So it works really well. The second main thing is that this tunnel is built for wind. Like, it's made to be very strong. And yes, I did order the tunnels so that my pilings are the closest together, like my braces. You can get them set apart another foot or something. And I definitely wanted to get the strongest build on the tunnel. So our farm is surrounded by open fields all around us. And so it's like a wind tunnel here. And, you know, my family lives 15 minutes away in town, and they don't have near the amount of wind that we have. And most of our wind comes out of the west from the lake. This tunnel is oriented east and west, and so it just gets hammered with all that wind. And so these Nifty Hoops tunnels are built to withstand high wind and snow. I don't think I've said this, but they're actually an Ann Arbor based company, which we're in West Michigan, so Ann Arbor is the other side of the state from us. But you know, it's a Michigan company made, and they build and design their tunnels with northern winters, you know, in mind. So interestingly, this June, and I know I've told this story before, but we had a tornado warnings, and we had like 4 or 5 tornado touchdowns near us. And we had one that was very close to us. We had one just south of us, and they didn't classify this one as a tornado, although the one just south of it was. It knocked down it was like a wind tunnel, or potentially a small, a low EF0 tornado came through essentially right over our farm, and the trees were all down on the road just an eighth of a mile from us. And even our neighbors just up the road had trees all down on their property. We don't have a lot of trees, so we didn't lose any trees. And our neighbor was like, I don't know how that tunnel of yours stood. Like, this tornado must have gone right over your farm. And my husband was grabbing the baby because it was 11:30 at night, and so he was coming downstairs with the baby, and he like felt the wind hit our house. It was very substantial wind, and all we had was like a flap of the wiggle wire came off, and the whole tunnel just stood positively firm. So that made me feel like, yes, this is made to withstand. Now, obviously, when you get wind like that, you close the tunnel up, you seal it so that the wind hits it right. But anyway, we did that and everything went fine. Okay, like I said, they're from the other side of the state, so they're relatively local. I mean, that's pretty local. So they had to drive a couple hours to get here. So it's just kind of nice to work with a company that's near you. At least I thought. They do ship and deliver and build tunnels across the whole United States, but it is kind of nice to have just close proximity to the company. I also knew some farmers with Nifty Hoops Tunnels, flower farmers, and the one is just south of me in South Haven, and they have 2 tunnels actually. And so before I bought the tunnel, I was asking them about Nifty Hoops and what they thought of the tunnel, and they had theirs about a year. So they gave it pretty good reviews, and so that made me feel good too, that I knew someone that actually also had this tunnel. Some features that I'm glad I chose, you don't have to choose these, but I do have automatic sides that roll automatically up and down based on the temperature that I set. I like that because if the sun hits in here, it can get really hot, and then the sides will go up and down automatically. So I chose that. It does come with some issues. I think I talked about this. We had a really cold morning in September, and I wasn't really thinking because the tunnel's just been open all summer. The sides went down automatically, and it got caught in our shade cloth strap and burned out the motor, which was a real bummer because it was like $250 to replace it. But that was totally my fault. Yeah, it has really strong framing, and it's just really thought out for snow load and wind and that kind of stuff. So that, after kind of assessing several different companies, this is the one that I ended up going with. Some other things that helped me in that decision is I got funding from the NRCS to build the tunnel. Nifty Hoops works with the NRCS, and they made a really seamless process because the funding, like, it's technically a reimbursement, and so they work with you. You have to fill out some paperwork, and they were just really helpful in that whole process. One thing that I really liked was they have a community build option. So when you're building the tunnel, there's a couple different ways you can build it. They can just drop it all off, and you can do a total DIY build. I thought that would take me and my husband, a year. So we didn't want to do that, and we wanted to be able to get crops in here for the fall. So we paid to have they sent a crew with 2 guys out, and then you have to have like 5 people here, I think, dedicated to working all day to build it. And those 2 guys just like, yeah, you do this, you do that, and they give jobs to everyone, and we put the whole tunnel up. And it was a super, super fun process. My husband took the day off of work, my dad came, my mom came to help with our little kids, and we hired a couple of teenagers, and we just had a blast. We made pizza for lunch. So the kids really enjoyed it. The teenagers that worked for us had a great time. And it just was a really, really fun day. And it went up super, super fast and it was all done and they got it all together. So it was great. So it's just kind of a fun, kind of a between, they're not doing everything and it saves you money to do the community build. So that was a great option. The other thing that maybe didn't sell me on the Nifty Hoops tunnel, but since I bought it has been a huge bonus, is that they have such good customer service. And I have had a couple of issues, like I told you, the burned out motor, and there's a couple other questions I had. Oh, I was really concerned after it was only up a couple days that it was overinflating, and I kind of freaked out like, oh, it's not working right. And I called the company and they were like, oh, just take a picture of it and send it to us. And does it look like this and this? And walked me all through it. And they were like, yeah, that's actually the way it's supposed to look. It's totally fine. So stuff like that, they're just really helpful. But of course, it's like I'm trying to reinstall the motor and it's an incoming storm and it's 5 o'clock and it's freezing and couldn't get it down and I couldn't get the sidewall down. Anyway, I called the guy from Nifty Hoops. His name was Tom, and he just walked me through exactly how to reinstall it, sent me directions, it just was really helpful. Actually, no, I wasn't installing it. I was just trying to put the sidewall down without the motor. You can use a battery. Anyway, he just walked me all through it and then sent us directions and said, if you can't figure out how to hook up the motor, just give me a call back. I mean, just really, really great customer service. And he just was really helpful. I just feel like there's just a lot of support. And if I have any issues, I can easily contact them and they just have ongoing, service and support. Obviously, like I wasn't paying him for that or anything like that, and he was telling me about a couple things I could do to improve the front of the tunnel that they've upgraded since I've got the tunnel, and just really helpful things. So just like when you're selling flowers, having great customer service is super important. Likewise, when you're buying a tunnel from a company, like what level of communication and future service is this company going to give you? So from my perspective, Nifty Hoops has done such a great job in the care of the customer, after the sale even, and just helping you walk through issues with the tunnel. Some of my least favorite parts. So some things I don't love. I actually don't love the front roll-up door. Like sometimes I wish it had like a door you could slide open or something. Maybe I don't know the downsides of that. For the winter, we winterize it with a wiggle wire that we put down and it stays in pretty good. But that is also something else that I was talking with Tom about, and he was telling me about these other clips. So I haven't bought them yet, but I really need to and install them because he said that really helps. Because sometimes the door gets ripped open by the wind, even with the wiggle wire. So we're trying to brace it with 2x4s or just wedging stuff in there to keep it down. So he said there's these clips. So I'm hoping that will help, but that's not my favorite part. The front vent broke in the wind. Like I said, we get a lot of wind here. The cost of the tunnel, I know y'all want to know how much this tunnel cost. Like I said, it's a 30 by 72 foot tunnel. So this is kind of a standard. And then they also have a 30 by 96. I think is the next size bigger from Nifty Hoops. This is not the cheapest tunnel out there. So all in all, by the time it was all finished with the upgrades of the roll-up sides, the extra bracing and different things, this was just under 20 grand to build this tunnel with them doing the build, the portion of the building. So not the cheapest tunnel. I think if they don't install it, you save a good chunk. It was worth it, definitely worth it for us to have someone just professionally install it, make everything square. And they just come with gas powered, what do they call, I don't even know what they're called, drillers, and they just pounding all the posts, boom 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 boom. And they just can do it so much quicker and better and have all the right tools than what we can do. So there are other tunnels, there's Farmer's Friend tunnels and other tunnels like that are cheaper. It just kind of depends on what you need. I personally chose to wait until I had enough money and I got approved for NRCS funding, which covered about 75% of the tunnel. So it didn't cover all of it, but it definitely covered a good chunk of it. I chose to wait to see if I got funding, and then I did get funding and then put extra personal money toward it to be able to build a big, strong, durable tunnel that I would have for years and years and not have to fuss with, this or that, or, it not being strong enough, or putting something together and not having the parts, if you buy something used. And I personally just chose to wait to get the tunnel. So I was in my 5th season when I got the tunnel. That was just what I chose. That's you know, obviously everybody can make their own decision, and other people, you know, might choose something differently, which is totally fine. So who this tunnel is for, I think if you're in a snowy climate in the north and with a lot of wind, or you're just in a windy area, like these tunnels are so strong. They also, the double walled poly, I didn't mention this, but it helps hail bounce off of the tunnel as well. And so, I mean, obviously not, if it's big enough, it will go through it, but it does have some protection from some hail as well. That's one other thing. If you're looking for a durable tunnel that's, you know, made to last in Michigan, or in a snowy climate in the north, or in a windy condition, but they build them all over the United States, so that you don't have to be in a snowy climate for this necessarily to be a good fit for you. But I just think if you are, this has been really great for us and our farm. So if you have further questions about the tunnel, or if I missed something, I hope I'm not missing something, put them in the comments below. I'll try and answer them, or you can always reach out to Nifty Hoops and they'll get back to you. But having a tunnel has been very strategic for my farming with early spring crops and ranunculus and anemones and growing those kinds of things here in Michigan. It's definitely been a great addition to my farm, and perhaps there'll be more in the future. We'll see. More tunnels, that is. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't already seen, I did do a video about why I like my high tunnel. So if you're wondering more like nitty-gritty questions about what I grow or different things about the season, check out that video, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.